Allegiance. Ron Steinhardt, can you help us?
I'd be happy to. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Call this meeting to order. All the board members are present. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. This is the time for public comment. If anybody here is, wants to talk to us for whatever reason, stand up and be heard. Some of those little girls right there want to say something to us? No, a little later. Yeah, a little later, okay. Okay, approval of minutes. We should have two separate votes. One, Mr. Fair was not sworn in for the April meeting, so we need to take that without him. And then we'll do the second, the organizational meeting. Regular board meeting, April 8th, 2014. Is there
Approve.
a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The organizational meeting, April 28th. Is there a motion?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Did you could, okay, okay, just check.
Okay.
Donations, Dave.
Okay, a number of nice donations again this month. We have Ann Schwallenberg donating independent living supplies and Easter baskets. Operation Cinderella, outfitting 11 girls for prom. Ann Unerdl of Simplicity Salon, 3 updos for prom. Connie Baldwin, $100 Shopko gift card for needy students. And the Waupaca Middle School Fun Run donations. That was in the packet, right? Yes, okay. So, all nice donations. Mr. Rome, do you want to talk a little bit about the fun run?
The fun run we held last Friday. We took all 670 of our students in bright yellow t-shirts and paraded around the city. Only had one little incident that the student couldn't make it through the whole route. So he came back to the middle school before the other parking lot. Otherwise, everybody else made it great. A lot of great response from Facebook, from parents, from seniors. Everybody was involved, and we raised $6,500 for our PTG for our first time. So,
Fantastic.
Good job. So we need one motion to accept the donations.
Can I add one thing quick on that? I had been working with Ann Collins, the school social worker, about a good place to donate some money. And she had mentioned a gift card for one of the local stores. And one of the other things that we came up with is a Visa gift card, because she has a lot of just odd needs that come up almost on a daily basis, and that allows her the freedom to go wherever she needs to go to meet these needs. So if anyone is ever interested in a donation, or you know somebody who wants to make a donation, that would be a great thing, and you can work that right through her. She doesn't have to do all of the paperwork, I guess, that sometimes otherwise has to be done. So it's kind of an easy way to meet that need.
Good.
I would move that we accept these donations with thanks.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. School board visits.
I made one visit to the open house, not the official opening of the house that was built in the high school parking lot, but I went to the open house last Saturday and had a tour with Dave Larson, and it was wonderful. Very nicely done. I hope somebody bids on it soon and moves it to its final home, but it's a very nice house. It's a lot bigger than it looks. And had some nice features like walk-in closet in the master bedroom and a walk-in closet in one of the other rooms. Our first floor laundry room, and I thought it was very nice. They did a good job. Need some floor covering and a permanent location, but other than that, it was great.
Not necessarily in that order.
No, not necessarily in that order. But I think there's a bidding process.
Yeah, bids are out now. We're open for bids through June 5th, I believe, June 4th.
Okay.
And then we'll have a sealed bid opening. Minimum bid of $70,000.
And they have to find their lot and have it
Divide the
moved, correct?
basement, the lot, transportation to, so anyone who has a lot close to the high school is in a better position than someone who has to. Because I think the most expensive part is the phone wires or the telephone wires. Because they have to be moved in some instances.
Has anyone shown any interest that you're aware of?
Thank you for asking that question, because I was going to ask if I could mention that we had an open house on Saturday from 10 to noon, and we had 19 people show up. Some were interested. Mr. Larson thought about 5, 6 people were really interested, and we had some that kind of followed the construction of the house, so they wanted to take a look at it now that it's done. So I think there's a couple people interested.
Good.
Is 70,000 what it costs to build? Is that the, no?
Mr. Hayek, you want to talk about that a little bit?
There'll be perhaps a slight profit, and if the profit would roll into the to the capital projects fund, so we can continue this cyclical process that we started. The board basically, off the capital expenditures, made this investment, 2-year investment under capital projects fund, and as we look at the market, I believe it's a reasonable price, quite frankly. If you look, for instance, at Cap Homes, right now going near the airport, they're roughly 140,000. Granted, they have the lot, but those are for lower income, and so I think we're in a reasonable position for the size of that house. So
There's some things we'd like to do if we continue this type of project, including building garages and things like that, that will better support the construction. So we'd like to build up a little bit of a fund that we can do those things to make the annual building easier.
So doing a smaller project occasionally, is that what you're saying?
No, I was building in a little bit of a profit,
Oh, I see.
turnaround year, so we have those funds available. And remember that a lot of people donated their time and expertise and equipment, I believe, for this, so that helps us.
I think it was very nice at the pre-open house ceremony, okay. That a number of those people did come, and you invited them, they did show up, some of the people, whether it was contractors that helped them learn how to do the drywalling and everything. And talking to them, they were really quite excited, so it was, I'm glad that they did participate in that time. And you had a nice PowerPoint presentation with pictures through the construction. A number of the kids that had graduated came back for that. There were at least, 6 or 7, would you say? So.
Well, I think a big part of that helps too, that students are very interested in the trade of plumbing and being an electrician and heating and cooling, that we don't really stress in our tech ed department, just because you can only do so much. And working with that person in the trade, they learned a ton, and I think we're gonna see more kids going to Fox Valley Technical College in those trades because of building the house.
I was surprised that you used 2x6s in the walls, and that's unheard of. It makes it a lot heavier to move, but it's just really makes it a more sound house, and I was very impressed.
And then also we put a lot of posters up downtown, and we have some awesome community support. I even had a nice gentleman, I was passing them out, and he asked for one and put it up on his window. So that was very nice of him.
I think the project met all our expectations, everything we hoped to accomplish by starting the project was met as soon as we sell it.
I think also we should thank Jim Richmond for
Yes.
doing the legwork.
Is that an offer? Okay, school visits.
I didn't make a formal school visit, but in addition to the open house, I had the opportunity to attend the FFA awards banquet. They did a very nice job with it. I'm always very impressed with the enthusiasm of the students and in that program. It just looked like, in addition to taking the whole ceremony very, very seriously, they were having fun. And it was a pleasure to be able to participate in that. Also attended a spring concert last night for the 7th and 8th grade band. They always do kind of a pictorial or video of where the kids started in the 6th grade at the beginning with their very first lesson, trying to make sounds out of these various instruments, and then bridged into the 8th grade band. And it just is amazing at how they have really come along. They're estimating that roughly 50% of those that are in the program will continue on in the program in high school, or at least for the first year. So I think when you look at the sheer numbers that they have, it's really quite an amazing program. They also had a guest involved in the program last night doing the Gettysburg Address. I do have a picture of him on my phone if anybody wants to see it after the meeting today.
Nothing on the
No.
screen.
I can't project it up there.
Darn.
But
A good likeness?
he had the hat and everything, so anybody that's interested.
It was fun. I enjoyed going back, spending some time with the students, doing things like that.
Any others?
Well, I didn't have a school visit, but I had the opportunity to attend the rural advisory meeting a couple of weeks ago with the state school superintendent. And it was a great experience. I really didn't know what to expect when I went, but I was so glad that I went because I learned so much about the demographics of rural communities and rural school districts. And on a number of levels. First of all, the school looked beautiful. The school's students were well presented. I was so proud of our school district that day. I just think everybody worked so well together to portray the very best Waupaca we could. And then in listening to the different presentations, it became very aware to me that how different we are from other rural districts and how we're poised better financially and as far as our resources go, and as far as our buildings go, than a lot of districts are. So it was really a good awareness of how fortunate we are here in Waupaca to have what we have. So it was a great experience.
You know, and it was, we saw it from a different perspective because we were sitting in the library looking out on the commons, and I was thinking that every time the bell rang, there'd be a million kids going back and forth, and there were very few. I don't know how you got them to go someplace else.
They followed their normal schedule that day.
Okay. But it was, I think it was very, very well done, and I think people that were there were very impressed. It was very, very nice of you to set that up, Dave.
Well, thanks. I heard nothing but good comments, not only from states of Superintendent Tony Evers, but people who work for him as well as the other school board members, other legislators who were there, and community members, all very impressed. And, we have a lot to be proud of.
How do those people get on that committee for board or whatever it's?
I think ultimately they're appointed by Dr. Evers,
Okay.
but how he gets recommendations from people, I'm sure he didn't know all those people, but he appointed them based on recommendations from others. And I think-
You might mention one was a Waupaca High School graduate.
Yes, that was very interesting. One person was introducing herself.
Oh, that's right.
And she said, and by the way, I'm a proud graduate of Waupaca High School. And she was Reverend Webster's daughter.
Oh,
Correct.
And so she graduated back in
Long time ago.
what?
61.
61. And I think Mrs. Nowicki, the high school librarian, went back, got a yearbook and found her graduate, her yearbook picture and showed it to her.
Right, and she's
So-
now a resident of Mosinee, she told me, and is very active on the state's humanities board. Was it humanities?
I think it has something to do with Native Americans.
Oh, okay, maybe it wasn't. And so because of that involvement is the likelihood is why she was asked to be on that board.
It surprised everybody when she said, well,
Yeah.
high school graduate.
I had to talk to her about my piano lessons from Barbara. It didn't last long.
Is it a short
Conversation or
conversation?
lesson?
No, the lessons.
Or the conversation?
She also has very nice things to say about the family who lives next to the high school, Harvey's. Ann Harvey?
Yes.
Was Ann a teacher, or she's a poet, is what she was telling me. And she even recited some of her poetry. So she was very close to.
The one right
Harvey.
closest?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was the Narrows.
Well, it's the Harveys, isn't that who's?
But I think she was a
Oh,
Narrow.
okay.
Anyway. Any other ventures out from your workplace? I went to the middle school, and I ended up talking to Mrs. Holman, and she was talking about the Chromebooks. And they're concerned about how they can keep track of what the kids are doing. And all of a sudden, there was an update, I think last week. It's called Google Classroom. And they now can watch every Chromebook and monitor them. And I had basically asked her, why are you so high on the Chromebook? And she was talking about it, but then she said, well, we just got this Google Classroom, and it's free. And so it allows the teachers to be on top of all of the kids, which is pretty neat. So I suppose now we have to buy a whole bunch more of those, right?
You heard the pitch last month.
I heard it this afternoon too. But I think this makes a better thing to go after
For
monitoring, because it's, I think it's a little cheaper. Anyway. And that's all for me.
recognition. It's School Nutrition Employee Week was May 5th through the 9th. We recognize Ms. Flucard and her employees for that week. And we have a thank you note from the family of Barry Lutzy for a donation to the High School Scholarship Foundation in the name of Barry Lutzy. Future dates, high school graduation is June 1st at 2 p.m. And unless he refuses, Board President Steve Shamble will be the graduation speaker, as per protocol. June 5th is the last day for staff, and it's the end of the year recognition breakfast, 7:30 a.m. in the high school. And do you want to appoint someone to represent the board at that?
I'd love to. Betty, would you think about it?
No, I said I would do it.
Oh, okay.
I've been working on my speech all year.
All year?
All year, that's how long it takes me to do a speech. Betty can pull it together that morning and, so.
Okay.
Have fun with
It's
that.
me. If that's okay, I don't know.
Oh, that's great.
I'd be happy to do it.
Good.
Good. June 10th is our regular board meeting, and a reminder that that meeting takes place at 7 a.m. June and July are 7 a.m. meetings. Next item, breakfast, lunch, and milk prices. As I explained in board notes, there is a formula that we have to follow, and we have to charge a minimum amount in order to participate in the federal lunch program, breakfast program. And when you calculate the formula, as Ms. Flucart did, once again, as like last year, we need to increase our breakfast and lunch prices by a dime. Milk stays the same at 40 cents. Yes. So we'll need a board motion to do that. We don't have a choice. It's a relationship between the free and reduced price reimbursement and the cost that we charge for lunches. So we have to increase by 10 cents.
I move that we accept the increase in price for 2014-15.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is that cheaper than soda?
40 cents. In the long run, it is, yes.
Yes.
The next item is 2014-15 teacher contracts. And if you saw online, teacher contracts have changed a little bit. We're still working out the legal requirements, or attorneys are, for contracts. But the basic change this year is that, if you recall the discussion about total base wages, and the Act 10 says that the base wage, the starting wage, is the base wage. Starting wage of the schedule, the salary schedule, is the base wage. So every teacher has a contract that has just the base wage on it, and ours will be similar. The second page of the contract, it's not actually a contract, it's called the pay supplement sheet, indicates the base wage plus the value of their lanes, credit lanes, and experience equals their total wages for next year. So they're separated that way. You'll find the connection when we meet, and we have a meeting scheduled with the Personnel Committee and the WTA. When we talk about the legislature or the WRC capping base wage increase at 1.46%, that's applied to that base wage, the 38,000 something that's out there. So you'll see that when we put all the numbers together, how that percentage increase applies to the base versus the lanes and columns. It will come together for you. But that's why the calendar or the contracts look a little bit different. Okay. What we've done, obviously we don't have a salary base wage for next year, so the contracts you're approving tonight are all the people who are coming back, except those who retired or resigned. And it's based on the current year salary base wage. And in the contract, it says that's subject to revision when we meet with WTA in the near future. When that happens, we'll have an addendum to the contract update base pay.
So you need approval of this.
We will.
I would move approval of this contract for the 2014-15 school year.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Yes. Pat, I'm going to call your name, but you probably
Yeah.
abstain.
Yeah.
Okay. Pat Fair?
I'll abstain.
Okay. Betty Mannion?
Yes.
Sandy Robbins?
Yes.
Stephen Johnson?
Yes.
Kirsten Greenfield?
Yes.
Connie Baldwin?
Yes.
And Stephen Shambo?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Health insurance provider and plan design for 2014-15. At your place is the document. I know it's a little bit hard to read. It's the WA Trust, Waupaca School District Health Plan Options. We have had 2 health insurance committee meetings attended by some board members as well as teachers and other employees. And it is being recommended by administration that with the not approval, but the support of the committee, that the district go with the furthest column on the right, which is the renewal. The renewal rates are there. You'll see at the very bottom, it is a 1.8% reduction in rates. Part of that because of plan design, most of it because we've had good experience. You're going to hear a lot more about that when we do our health and wellness update in a few minutes. In addition to that 1.8% decline is a refund of around $93,000 to the district to help fund our health and wellness plan, or to use at our discretion, and we'll choose to do it that way to a great extent. So anything to add to that, Carl?
I think I'll say a little bit more later in the meeting, so.
Okay, but for right now, for these, are there questions related to this motion then?
Is the implementation of this July 1
Yes.
of this year into next year?
Correct.
Does anything change for retirees under this plan?
Yes, retirees will have received the letters. Retirees age 65 and older have received, or will be receiving a letter from WA Insurance Trust saying that district will no longer be providing coverage for those employees. But they have a plan design that will be better for them and will not be subject to changes that the district does in plan design as we move forward. The letter is worded carefully because no one likes to be taken off of a plan. But WA believes that the plan that they're offering the 65 and older, number one, it's good to get those people off of our plan because their experience won't count against us. But number two, it is a better plan for them at most likely, in most cases, a lesser cost.
Where's that gentleman from that led that?
M3, his name?
Kevin.
Kevin Flaherty.
Yes, very knowledgeable.
He's been helping us over, those who have been here around know that this is a 20% reduction over the last 4 years in our premiums due to plan design as well as experience. But that's, when you think about that, could have gone up instead of gone down. There's a big gap between what it could have been and what it is. So we're very pleased.
Okay,
Motion for that.
is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Abstain? Or,
I don't think.
oh no, I'm sorry, this is 14, 15.
This is beyond, yeah, for
yeah.
the next season.
Okay, got 7-0.
Monitoring.
Okay, board monitor, we've got the WKCD results. As you know, we monitor the board ends policies. One of the ends policies is academic achievement. So we are going to talk to you a little bit about our, which one?
I'll do the handout first, and then.
Oh, okay. Our WKCE scores, the results have been in the news over the last, not the last couple of weeks, but prior to that. So we thought we'd bring you an update for School District of Waupaca.
Okay, annual update, this will be the last year for WKCE in this way. And there's nothing really new to report. As you can see on this paper, we do about 5 points better than the state in all subject areas. You'll remember that math and reading are national norm now, so they're gonna go a lot lower everywhere. So that's how it looks this year. This is advanced and proficient put together. So percentage of advanced and proficient.
So there are 4 categories.
Minimal, basic are the other. Now, where you can get this, the exciting part about this is where you can get these results. It's called WiseDash. It's go right to the DPI website. It's a public portal, WiseDash, and I'll show you on the screen some things you can do on that. We will be having on June 5th and again on June 12th. Or on June 5th, we'll be looking into more of this data, not only WKCE, but also our MAP scores. And these are some of the things.
Which would you like to go first?
Let's do, yeah, that one that's. So there you see what I just handed out is in the far column, but you can see a trend through the last years. It looks like not much has changed. So there's not much to report on that. But you can filter, if you see on the top, you can filter by WSAS type, which means WKCE, or the WAA, which is the alternative assessment, so you can see how your special ed are doing. You can filter by year, you can filter by grade level.
So this is entire school district?
Yes.
Right?
And all grade levels.
From 2009, those who can't read, those would be at the bottom, 2009-10 school year through the 2013-14 school year, all grade levels.
Oh, these are both math. We'll show you one of the top ones. Is that one math?
Is that math also? Yes. Okay.
I have read one. Economic disadvantage. So then you can do a subgroup of these are the students that qualify for free and reduced lunch, so economically disadvantaged. Over the last 5 years, you want to see the purple and the blue. Those are advanced and proficient. And so you can see if they are doing better or worse relatively over the past years. You can filter by all your subgroups. If you remember last year, we talked about how we were focusing on closing those gaps with some of those subgroups. And another chart I can show you is the students with disabilities.
Now this one is, just so we're clear, this is upside down a bit, right?
Right. So it takes a while to figure it out. You want that purple and blue to be big.
Right.
If you would compare that, and you can filter it that way, to compare it with the state, you will see that our economic disadvantage do better than the state.
We had a bit of a emphasis on that several years ago. That gave us a boost at the time. We were able to maintain that difference in how well our economically disadvantaged students do compared to the state, same population.
So these are students with disabilities, and you can see they're 17.2 plus a little bit in the advanced, are proficient and advanced. Relative to the state, that is, it's okay. But one thing I found out when discussing with Ms. Marcon is that we do give most of our students with disabilities the regular actual WKCE. They don't take the alternative, so it's challenging them even more. So there are always variables involved that sometimes you don't see when you're first looking at this data.
Sometimes there are accommodations we can give students as they take WKCU, maybe reading the questions to them or accommodating them some other way.
Correct.
That we can't do for regular ed students.
Extra
but,
time.
Extra time on the time tests. Then we'll just talk about the WSAS a little bit, just the option.
WAA?
For WAA.
Okay. Ms. Marquette can help me. It's designed the reason we give the WKCE to as many of our disabled students as we can is because it's much more of a challenge. WAA is very low level. For example, point to the color green, like that
Very,
type of
very
thing.
basic skills, and so many of our students are quite above that. And so, yes, we could get great scores on those and look wonderful from the state, but it really isn't telling us anything. So we feel that it's better to challenge the students a little more, and we're trying each year to close that gap a little more and just.
And it's in their IEP, their individual education plan, as to which test they're going to take. So it's a group of professionals that decide whether the student is capable of taking that test, or whether the WKC would give us better information than the WAA.
And so June 5th in the afternoon, that's the day of the breakfast, we will look at this with groups of teachers and use some of those filters and find out which subject areas were lower and why. That could be which grade levels. And then it'll also break down into the individual students and how they reached it. Now next year, there'll be Smarter Balance Assessment in grades 3 through 8, and that'll be all on the computer, and that'll be in spring. So you won't get this WKCE report in the same way. WKCE won't go away completely because Smarter Balance will just be reading and math. WKCE will be science and social studies, but only 4th, 8th, and 10th grade. And then the ACT suite will be 9 through 11. And don't forget the little ones. We got PALS 4K through 2 for them. So those are just the state mandated tests. So I will be reporting those to you. But also on WISE-, if you want to look on there, you can find the ACT results. You can compare up to 5 different districts. You can pick your districts, compare those. Compare ACT, compare AP exams, attendance of different schools, different districts, student to teacher ratio. It's just, you could be on there for hours. Any questions?
So I think bottom line, there's a lot of information out there. We have to figure out how to use it and see how we measure in a number of different areas and ways of doing it. And that's what we do. So that our goal tonight was just to show you the type of information we can get, what we look at when we do our own data retreats internally.
Nothing jumped out on the WKCE. Yeah, but we'll break that down. Okay.
Thank you. The next item is Destination Imagination performance. We are fortunate tonight to have some guests. And Mr. Erspamer, would you
Sure.
do the main introduction,
It's
please?
my pleasure to introduce one of the coaches involved with these young ladies, and this is Erin Eller, and she's responsible. We're all real proud at the WLC of their accomplishment, making it to the global competition coming up, I believe, in about a week. So I'll let Mrs. Eller introduce the team for you, and they'll have a little presentation.
And where is Global? Nashville?
Knoxville.
Knoxville.
Okay, so my name is Erin Eller. I've had the privilege of coaching these 5 young ladies over the course of this school year. And we have had a lot of fun. They chose to do their challenge, it's the Service Learning Challenge is what it's called. All the challenges are designed to teach the kids innovation, creativity, and teamwork. These girls are all very compassionate girls, and they had a real problem with bullying in the schools and just feeling bad for kids that are left out and that type of a thing. So we spent some time working on what they were going to do for their solution for the challenge. They decided to just teach everybody to be a little more friendly. So they will be presenting, then what they have to do is present their solution to the judges at the competition. So they have placed first in the state for their solution for the challenge. And also the instant challenge, which is a challenge that they're given that day. They have no idea what they're walking into, and then they have to just come up with something like that. So they have accomplished a lot, and I think they're ready. All right, so Friendly Five, are you ready?
We're as ready as we are friendly.
Go.
I'm Katie. I'm Grace. I'm Chloe.
And we're the Friendly Five. And our dream is to change our school and world by making it a friendlier place.
Because when you're friendly, you'll have friends.
Your life will be so much happier because friends make your life better. When you're friendly, people will come to you for advice.
When you're friendly to others, they will be friendly to you.
When you're friendly to others, you'll feel good about yourself. And we feel good. Action. Attention class. Everyone choose partners for your math quiz today.
Pause. This girl is all alone. I wonder what her classmates are going to do. Action. Pause. Are these girls going to help her or hurt her for being all alone? Action. Pause. These girls helped her, and this is exactly what we want to see more in our school and world by making it a friendlier place.
And this is where our story begins.
Our first idea was to do a survey. We were really excited to learn about how we could help our friends at school. But when we talked to our principal, Mr. Earthbomber, we found out the school had already done a survey. So we sent us to Mr. Van Ness, who showed us all the survey results. We learned that the school was already doing a program called Positive Behavioral Interventions and Supports, or PBIS for short. The results showed that some students have a hard time finding someone to talk to when they're upset.
We also had the idea to put a buddy bench on the playground. The buddy bench is an idea a boy named Christian from Roundtown Elementary School came up with to help with friendships so that kids wouldn't have to be lonely on the playground during recess. Our plan was to have a bake sale to raise the money to purchase the materials for the buddy bench and then have some of our handy family members build the bench. Another idea we had was to create a peer-elected team of safe students who could learn group called Team Courage. We got this suggestion from the PBIS program for our school that already has. The goal of this team is to put together a group of people with good listening skills and that are easy to talk to. The team would report to the PBIS team and would be a resource for classmates to share. We took our ideas to Mr. Van Ness, the PBIS coordinator for our school, and he encouraged us to do videos that help support the positive behavior efforts the school already has in place. We were really bummed we couldn't do the buddy bench, and since our school already does the morning announcements by video, we went with Miss Townsend and rode to the Waupaca Learning Center Channel 99 News to see what our project would do.
Our goal is to create a more positive and friendlier environment at our school. So we decided that the best way to do that was to suggest little things on a regular basis. So we came up with the idea to do a Friendly Fire quick check. We needed some material for the quick checks. Kids helped that art has lots of great articles. We asked them if we could use them and they said yes. Then we had to get approval from our principal, Mr. Van Ness, and this is the video we sent him.
Sorry, technical difficulties.
It's not
What should I do if I get angry? Don't lose control if you get angry. Taking it out on others never solves anything. Instead, admit to yourself that you are angry and try to figure out why. What can you do to keep that situation from happening again? If your little sister gets a toy and you don't, it's not okay to break that toy. Maybe you can ask her to share it with you. Or if your science homework is too hard, don't rip up your notebook. Ask a teacher or a parent for help instead. It helps to talk about your anger with an adult such as a parent, teacher, or relative. Once you talk about your anger, those bad feelings usually start to go away. This information has been brought to you by the Friendly Five and KidsHealth.org. Be friendly! Mr. Earthworm approved of the video. Now we're working with Ms. Townsend to create quick tips for each week of the school year. These are some of the responses we hope to get from the students in our school. Well, I guess I did get kind of angry. Maybe now I know that I shouldn't take it out on others. Even if my little sister does get a toy and I won't break it. I'll just ask her to share it with me. If my homework gets too hard, I'll ask a parent or teacher to help me instead. Now I know if I do get angry, I can ask a parent, teacher, or relative for help. Friendly Five! At first, our buddy bench idea didn't succeed, but it got brought up in the last PBIS meeting. And the school wants to do a few buddy benches there, and we're so happy to hear and love the idea that the benches can be used for many years. The last part of our project was handing out stickers to people at our school who looked like they were feeling down. These two girls look like they're feeling down. Action. Hey, you girls look like you're feeling down. Do you want a sticker? And might brighten up your day. We have brightened over 500 people's days. Do you want to have a sticker? Do you want to be my friend? I'd love to see you smile. It's been a while. Come on, let's go and play. We could be best buddies, play every day, and hang out all the time. Do you want to have a sticker? It might brighten up your day. Be friendly.
So girls, how are you getting to Knoxville?
We're taking a bus.
A bus.
Alone?
No, like with the different teams.
There's several different school districts that combine. So we have one from Grafton, Little Chute, and there's one other one that will be going down at.
And when are you going?
The 19th, so we leave Monday, yep.
Just a couple questions. The category that they chose are acting on here, were there several options that they could choose from, or was this everybody's kind of the same?
Basically, with the service learning, there are different criteria that they have to meet. It's not even necessarily the project itself that's judged, it's their presentation on it. So it's, they have a couple of things, what they call the team choice elements that they're judged on. Theirs was the song that they put together, and then the video that they put together as well. And then it's just a matter of the process of the project, how they came up with the ideas, how some of the ideas may have worked, how some of them didn't. Those are the different things that they have to present on, and then that's how they're judged. So.
And what grade levels are open to this?
It's elementary, young elementary, all the way through university.
But
But-
can't like a couple of the grades not be able to participate? They can just do it.
Right, yeah, so they all competed against elementary level kids, and they have 3 different categories, or 4 actually, elementary, middle, high school, and then university, so.
Does your performance have to be timed?
It is
You have
timed.
a certain amount of time?
They have 8 minutes, so if we would have had those technical difficulties during and we haven't up until this point, honestly, it's worked pretty well, they would not be able to finish their presentation. So they have 8 minutes tops to present. So they try to use as much of that 8 minutes as they possibly can.
But you know what, I have to tell you a story. Sammy and I were coaches for
Mhm.
this back when it was Odyssey of Mine. And I remember I had a team that worked really, really hard, and they made it all the way to state. And theirs was an electronic thing too. They had a car or a generator that had to work, like rapid succession, things had to happen. And it didn't go. And so their whole thing was just there with everybody staring at it because nothing happened.
Yep.
But you know what? They got one of the top awards for the way that they handled how that happened. So sometimes when things like that happen, and you all handled it really, really well. So I just want to tell you that you did a really good job, and sometimes things don't go the way you think they're going to go.
Right. And I would have disqualified the team if I would have, because I'm not allowed to do anything. They're supposed to be doing all of that on their own, so. But, yeah, so I can't just jump in and help them either. They have to come up with all their solutions and everything that they're gonna present to the judges, so.
Is it okay to ask another question of you all? Now that you've been doing the service project, what kind of reaction are you getting from the other students? And do you find yourself talking with students you might never have talked to before?
Yeah.
You girls should share this story
Yeah.
about the last practice that we had.
Oh, there was this little girl and she was sitting doing her homework and she was crying. So we wanted to go over there and see what was going on with her. So we went over there and we asked her a bunch of questions and she said nothing was really wrong. She didn't want to tell us. So then she said, this girl was being mean to me, and so we tried to help her and we gave her a sticker and stuff. And we said, and then we made her happy and stuff.
Must have been just a happy moment for all of you then. Very nice.
Have you told the kids at school about the buddy benches?
I haven't. I don't know.
It sounds like
Our
a great
guidance-
idea.
Our PBIS counselor told our class.
Are they gonna go in, they'll be in next year, do you think?
Yeah, they're supposed to.
They will be it next year. They're in the plans when we're doing our recess areas outside. The
Uh-huh.
benches are being designed along with the other equipment and will be placed in both areas by next school year.
That's a great idea.
So how many people can fit on a buddy bench? Or is that going to be a contest?
Interestingly, there was an article on Yahoo today about buddy benches.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I just read it earlier today.
Oh, it's a great idea. Congratulations. You did a great job.
Good luck.
Yeah, enjoy that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I had the opportunity to hear Daniel Coyle speak, and he's the author of The Talent Code. Greatness isn't born, it's grown. And this program is one of the examples that he used actually at a demonstration at a high school level of a very impromptu challenge, I believe is the term that they were using. But it was very interesting discussion. That was what I looked at.
So next item, we get to recognize some other national qualifiers. Mr. Steinhorst, the forensic coach at the high school. What's up with you guys?
Well, we're here, thank you. Dr. Peschel, members of the board, guests and so on. It's an honor to be back here again this year, particularly after I've spent too many weeks at home recuperating, and so we're back to work, and I want to present to you tonight our students who are qualified for the national tournament. which this year will be held in Chicago. And we're giving them a double treat in the sense that we're going to get them down there via Amtrak, because most of them have never been on a train before, and it's much cheaper. So we've kind of played all of the options there. We've had a super fantastic year with forensics this year. Our enrollment was over doubled from what we had last year. We had, on a given week, probably 40 to 50 kids participating, and I don't think there was a week that we came home with less than a third place, most of the time a first and or a second place large team trophy. So kudos to this fine group. They are obviously the creme of the creme. They have a band concert tonight, so I'm going to move really quickly, okay, because they need to be over there by 7 o'clock as well. And I have a city council meeting as well. So, beside the point. We've had a real resurgence this year in debate. Thank you in part to Mr. Young and partly to some of our freshmen this year. And so we have 4 of our students who are qualified to go to national tournaments in what is called public forum debate. It's a topic that changes each month. And so it's a 2-person topic. We have, and I'm going to introduce them, Emily Meyer and Dakota Marliga, freshmen who have a 23-4 record over the entire season. Freshmen, would you believe? Then we also have Amanda Durfee and Kelsey Wolfgram, who are juniors, who will also be debating. Why don't you stand up so they can see who you are, please, okay? So these are going to represent the debate faction, and they are debating, and I got to make sure I have the right words here. Minimum wage laws benefit the United States economy. Try that one for size and see where that's necessarily going to take you, because there are some definite arguments that go in both directions. Thank you, ladies. We have Cole Pankratz, who is going to be representing us in Student Congress. In case any of you are not happy with what's going on in Madison or Washington, D.C., maybe this is going to be your next legislator. They did need to write their own legislation. Cole took first place in Student Congress this year, and he supported a piece of legislation defeating affirmative action, which was rather interesting following what happened in Michigan with the Supreme Court several weeks thereafter. I was looking today as I'm kind of researching at home. These are some of the topics that he's going to have to be debating this year. Banning military and parliamentary drone flights over the U.S. Granting clemency to American whistleblowers, i.e. traitors. Lifting of sanctions in Zimbabwe, thereby repairing United States relations with Zimbabwe. A bill to provide federal funding to low-income students. That would be, of course, in your interest for sure. Creating college education systems in prisons. Eliminating the SAT, and we've read a lot about that very recently. And transparency in the Health Insurance Act of 2014. He needs to be prepared for 30 different pieces of legislation to debate on Saturday, May 25th or 26th, one of those 2 days, I think. So, Representative Pankratz, Cole Pankratz. And then in our interpretation areas, we have 4 individuals, 2 group interpretations. You saw 2 of them last year. We had last year performing, I believe it was Tom Phillipson and Eric Cummings. This year, Tom is partnered up with Jason Cardinal, a senior, who was unable to be here tonight because of an illness. But our other team going on will be, again, Nick Youngers and Ryan Wisey. So these are representing the interpretation forces of our crew. We have Mrs. Nancy Cummings, Mr. Josh Christensen, Koki Larson, Dave Larson's daughter, who will be working with the public address students down at Chicago this next weekend, I guess that is, and so on. So the 4 of us will be there. And so we thank you for your support. It's been very, very important that we have parental support, but also board support and certainly community support, because without those kinds of support, programs simply would not be able to exist. And I shouldn't forget administrative support as well. Thank you, Mr. Becker and Mr. Engelbretson. Okay. So with that, I think we need to dismiss these kids so that they can get over to the high school before 7 o'clock and not have any major snafus en route.
Good luck to all of you.
Okay.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow. And thank you very much. And I will try to get back and see what I can do with the council.
Good to see you back.
Thank you very much.
Next is just a brief report to you. I wanted to let you know that the Power School, which most of you are familiar with, especially if you had students in school where you could access student records through your child's records through Power School, was not able to keep up to speed with all the changes that are going on and the requirements that the state and federal government are placing on our record keeping and data keeping. So we had to make a change from Power School to something else. Two of the main players determined by the state of Wisconsin were Infinite Campus and Skyward. We called both of those groups in to give presentations to a number of our administrators and staff who were heavy users of our student information systems. Spent time with both firms and extra time with special ed and some other special user groups, and got back together again and came to the pretty much unanimous decision that we're going to go with the Infinite Campus company to provide our student information system for next year. Anytime you make a change like this, there's very heavy training going on. We had 3 days of training for administrators and counselors, and that was just the introduction. There will be heavy training of counselors, secretaries, principals during the summer, so that by the time school starts, we will have basically our own user groups within our schools. The people who will be trained the trainers from within our schools, training other people and being ready to go. In addition to the transfer of information on how to do things, we have to transfer the information itself, and getting all of the information from Power School to be recognized by Infinite Campus is a challenge. That transition will take place prior to July 1st. We'll be ending Power School on June 30th. Experience with other districts who have done something similar have been able to maintain their Power School records several months beyond the expiration of their contract, just as a convenience to make sure everything transfers correctly. So it's a big challenge. It adds to what our teachers and nurses are doing for getting ready for next year. And the educator effectiveness requires a lot of training. So a lot of things going on. We'll be needing to hire people throughout the summer for some of this extra training, additional days for guidance counselors and some of the lead secretaries in the buildings, et cetera. So I want you to know that we made that transition, why we made the transition. You'll be hearing more about it. We'll give a demonstration to you. We're going to tie in our food service with this. In the past, we've had a separate food service program. Food service will now be part of Infinite Campus. We do able to do a lot more things with students' accounts and things like that, monitoring. So,
parents will still access from our webpage?
Very much so, yes. That's a key component of all of this, and we think it'll be much improved as well.
Dave, where is Infinite Campus out of? I mean, where is their?
Minneapolis, or Minnesota is where they're out of.
There's a local rep of some kind that.
Yes, in fact, let me get this right. The guy who was the IT person for Wisconsin Rapids, I believe, is their local rep. He's not working there anymore. He's now working for Infinite Campus. In addition to that, Season 5 is going to be providing our training, just like they did for Power School. Season 5 is now contracted with Infinite Campus because of all the schools going to Infinite Campus in Wisconsin. They've had to place their people here. So while their headquarters are in Minnesota, their training centers are in the local area. So we have the same person training us on Infinite Campus as worked with us on Power School.
That was my next question, but you kind of answered. How many schools would you guess percentage-wise are going to this now?
Well, as you know, there were 3 major players in the state, with Power School being one of them. There was an effort for there to be a single vendor, statewide vendor. So right now, people are deciding between, people who didn't have Infinite Campus or Skyward are deciding between those two. My understanding is that Skyward has more school districts, Infinite Campus has more students. So the larger schools, Green Bay, I believe, is one of them, Milwaukee for sure, are going to the Infinite Campus. So they're going to have more students covered, although Skyward has more schools covered, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that.
And all this is about reporting our student progress and reporting things to the state. Our test scores and our student attendance rates and discipline rates, and graduation rates, and all those things. It's pretty intense. Anything to add from anybody out there who's been involved? Just confirm that it's going to be a lot of time, a lot of time spent doing this.
How long have we had Power School?
We don't.
9 years.
9 years?
already?
I was gonna say at least 9, yeah.
You say that with such certainty.
Because I was 1 year under the old system and then 1 year sort of with Power School.
I think the people who did the interviewing of the companies recognize that it's going to be a challenge, but also recognize that it's really going to be nice once we get to it. So it's worth the challenge to end up with that product that's going to be user-friendly for parents as well as staff.
And are both of these companies on board so that we don't have to go through the same thing in 2 more years? Are they?
They are. The history is that Infant Campus won the state contract for a single vendor system. Then Skyward said, hey, wait a minute, why can't there be a 2-vendor system? And legislature changed so that they would allow a 2-vendor system. So basically those two, and they are putting their resources into, both companies putting their resources into the schools that they have, competing against each other to get the most. So yes, I think if there are only 2 systems in the state, both of them will have motivation to stay here and do things the right way. Okay. That brings us to health and wellness presentation. I think we have just great news for you on this front. Mr. Hayek, are you going to introduce?
I'm going to try my best. I have some technical I don't think I can see the friendly fire, so.
cute as they were.
Her dad's black.
Careful, if I have this picture out there.
Yes, you do.
So how we doing all tonight? It's been a long evening. Working on wellness. Wow. We got a vision. Working on wellness. A little of my time's up. We got a vision. Working on wellness. We even have a mission statement. Working out well. We got a bunch of committee members. That's what they're doing. Everybody, working on wellness. We're working on wellness every day. So many emails, you can hardly stand it. Well, the health insurance industry rates were going north. Ours were going down south. Well, quantify that, Carl. Just don't tell me about that. You're the business manager. That's a $960,000 swing. $480,000 north, $480,000 south. Of that $480,000 south, 36% of that is due to what? Working on wellness. What, Rhonda? So we had a little fun along the way. We had a little holiday trio. 150 participants. Heidi and Lee Nowicki winning that key day. But hey, we did a little diet free. Not the chip program. That gave us another 1% on our health insurance rate deduction. Oh, I think I gotta breathe. I think I'm a little tired from doing this presentation right now. Oh, maybe we should do some small steps, some big steps, some little steps. Oh, we have big results with our small steps. Small step competition, 185 participants. This is office, really not doing so well. Oh well. We're not that working out well, really. So I think I need to relax. Maybe I'll go home tonight and do some yoga. That's part of our program. Oh, we did a little PHA, a little personal health executive summary. That sounds pretty impressive. Little needle prick, little blood draw, little coach along the way. Didn't hurt a bit. So we accumulated a lot of data along the way. Wait a minute. A little bit too much data. Too much data. I don't think we're going to really want to go through this. We actually quantify what we're doing. So we have a lot of data to report. We also have healthy, fresh fruits and vegetables tonight for you. We have 3 pedometers that are coming your way. What are we doing? We're working on wellness. We have, for the little kids that are making our artwork, the staff that's participating in all these programs along the way, the staff that are tonight, working on wellness. We don't really have the pedal to the metal. We're only going about 55. We're going straight. We're not looking in the rearview mirror. But we're working on wellness. So, since I still have a job, what we're doing is working on wellness. And we began this journey about 4 years ago with the Health Insurance Committee, which is a smattering of board members, staff members, teachers, support staff. And as we began that journey, we realized that we had, just to bring knowledge, we didn't have knee-jerk reactions as it was going on perhaps in the industry. We even had bids out there to see what our health insurance rates would be. And we know that now after the 4 years, we have a 24% reduction in our health insurance. That's a family plan. And one of the things to do with that tonight, you'll see on one of these slides, and I eliminated a multitude of slides tonight, because here's our health insurance renewal you have. It's a 1.8% reduction from the prior year. Now, this is the Affordable Care Act year. This is a year when everybody said everything was going to, all your rates were going to be blown out of the water. We took basically the essential plan, which is the Affordable Care Act plan, compliant, which is probably a little better because the essential plan has to be basically require a multitude of a level playing field. And in doing so, we moved to this new plan, which is a 1.8% reduction. WEA said, because of your wellness program, we're going to give you another additional 3% reduction. So we're coming in with about a 4.1% reduction over this period. So again, as my superintendent friend, he would say he's my friend. I think if I called him, probably not after tonight, but his insurance rates from the school district called Whitewater, Wisconsin, went up 25% in 1 year. We take this health industry average of only 6%, and that's conservative. That increase is very conservative. You can go around a multitude of other districts and see that. So what have we done really to change the plan? How does the plan design change? Well, the Affordable Care Act indicates now that we can, the out-of-pocket maximum is $12,500 and $6,300 for single. So those are the limits that are set. The Affordable Care Act kind of drove this plan into play, but because of our ratings and experience, and because of the partiality of the wellness team, our rates really went down. And the only real changes for this evening is, if you can see, the $1,125 were the maximum out of pocket for single, $2,250 were the maximum out of pocket in our prior insurance, the trust preferred, for the family. Now it's $2,500, $5,000 maximum out of pocket. But how that is neutralized for the staff, and we're going to have to do a good job of trying to explain this, is before out-of-office visits, any co-pays, urgent care, things such as that were not they were outside of the $1,125 or the $2,250. Now they're included. They count toward that out-of-pocket. Also, emergency rooms count for that out-of-pocket. Even co-pays for drug initiatives or drug things you need. So consequently, that tries to neutralize it. Probably not ideally collectively make it even, but it pretty much gets you closer to the even nexus point. And also with that, with the 1.8% reduction and wellness initiative, their co-pays will be less just based upon that. So there'll be savings to do with that. One of the things when we started this health insurance committee is then the nexus was to take a wellness committee to overlay that, to make them work in conjunction. And we said we had the personal health executive summary. I didn't go through all the data to that regard. But in that, we take that data, and the wellness team's job is to basically promote and take those steps further. And you can see the initiatives that the district has tried to get. We tried to get mass participation. That's really our goal in these programs. And when we built the wellness team, I didn't know anybody in the district. I didn't really follow Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People very well. I still don't, apparently. Ask the administrative team, I think probably concur with that. But one of the things I knew that we had Linda Hosell, who was in the district office, who everybody loved. And she knew everybody. So we didn't create really a wellness guru team. What we created at that point was a marketing team. So we decided that we'd take a marketing team, and what helped us then, we had Chris from WEA, who will speak to us shortly. He began this process, held our hand entirely the whole way. He's been at every wellness committee meeting and kind of steer us. In the initial stages, we had to dig through a lot of data. I think it really was stressful perhaps on the team itself because it was data driven. Now we're kind of getting into the more participative parts of that. But when that happened, one could say, well, Chris works at WEA. Sure, he works at WEA. I know Chris from back in Madison days, and he worked for Dean Clinic at the time. And one of the things about Chris, it doesn't matter where Chris works. Chris is passionate. If he didn't work for WA or Dean Clinic or whomever, he'd be doing this. So that's what helps us go, and that's what helps our participation rate goes. So then, when Linda Wazell took the position of Donna Drager when she retired, there were 60 applicants. Believe me, we vetted the process. She was the most qualified, and I hated to lose her. But Rhonda and I, ended up hiring Christina Hope. Christina Hope was part of, she automatically got assigned all these duties. That's good what we do, delegate all the work and take credit for it later. But what I want to do tonight is say that she has the same passion then as Chris does. So they work jointly together to create a new website and take us to the next transcendent tier in this place. And where that is now is, you'll see that the staff cannot really, if they're not looking at their email, basically they're not going to see a wellness thing. But if they open their email, they're going to see a wellness thing. And that's really, she takes a lot of heat for that. But that is a wellness team initiative. We're saying we're going to market this thing. We're going to make this a political campaign. And guess what? We get the maximum participation rate. And so I would like to thank these two. And I'd like Chris to speak to now, basically, the wellness part of this. Please say.
Sure. Thank you, Carl. That's probably more accolades than I deserve. But Carl had asked me to, kind of share some of the process by which we go through. I've been in, as he mentioned, I guess I'll take one step back. I've been in the health and wellness. This is about my 22nd year now, working as a health promotion advisor, and the third year, or almost 4 years now, with WA Trust. And I work with probably about 35 different school districts on developing wellness programs. And I always find that coming here is always kind of a unique experience. It's been a lot of fun. And I say that because I think there's such great engagement. So when I look at developing wellness programs, or when a school district or other businesses are trying to develop a wellness program, there really has to be great leadership support. And both Dr. Peschel and Carl have been extremely supportive of that as we've moved forward in trying to get through the initial stages. Because really, when we look at how do we develop this, what's the roadmap? Well, there's this Wellness Councils, WellCOA is the acronym of it. You might have heard of it. The Wellness Councils of America really have developed a blueprint of success. And we basically have gone down the 7 benchmarks to developing this program. And each one of those 7 steps, we've had great support that really has driven this home to be able to be successful. That doesn't say that it's always the most well-liked idea, but when we look at it, nationwide, school districts all over the country and throughout the state are doing these types of programs. But the success isn't always equal. And that's why I find that the things that are happening here in the Waupaca School District are really something special. And I think that as we pour through all the different data points, there are some pretty special data points there. And I think, as you're highlighting the trends that you're seeing, I think are very, very, great attributes to the success of the program. And I looked at the numbers, the recent ones, when we look at data that says, okay, what did you do? We timed, it's a cohort group, time 1 versus time 2. There were significant improvements in those people, the individuals who participated in time 1 to time 2. And those numbers are very, very impactful. And again, that's where I think it attributes to the numbers that Carl had shared with you earlier. So I think as we look at this process, it's a journey. And each year we've done this, it gets better and better. And I think that, the response, even though that there are some really motivating incentives out there, there are some great things that are happening, and people are adapting. One data point that I wanted to mention when I say that things are happening and people are adapting to this wellness thing is that we have one question, is that do you view your school district as a healthy place or a district supportive of a healthy environment? And when I share this, it may not sound like a lot, but 7% over 1 year, in 1 year, 7% of the population changed their mind and said, yes, this is my school district cares about me and views this as a healthy environment to work in. And so when I look at other school districts in that same question, not even close. It usually takes 3 years before I see a tick in that direction away from it. So that's really a testament to the things that the wellness team has done in promoting the activities and encouraging their colleagues, to understand the values of awareness, the health awareness that the programs like the personal health assessments are offering. The Working on Wellness committee has done an exceptional job at doing so. And so I think with that, I mean, I could talk all night long about, my passion of watching a wellness program start in its infancy stages and start to mature as it goes along. And I think that group should be commended greatly for their efforts. And there is one person I wanted to point out is really the person who shoulders a lot of it, and that's Christina. And without her efforts, it really, her efforts drive a lot of it. She's kind of the leader of that wellness team, if you will, and moving things forward and carrying out, doing a lot of the heavy lifting. So those efforts really make a big difference. And again, it might not be the most popular thing, as you might be spammed, but again, when we're trying to think about, compare to, what do you call it, the pharmaceutical marketing, you see it everywhere. Everywhere it's inundated. You start thinking, what's a purple pill? It's like the commercial, but you don't even know what the pill does. But again, a lot of times it's that marketing, and at some point in time, the information that we have will hit you or be provided to you. And when you need that resource, that person's going to know where to go and get that. Because I think on the continuum of health, we want to try to help and make sure resources are available, just like in our mission. We want to make sure that we have all the key resources available to people. So when that time comes, if they want to make a change in their life or how to make a change in their life, that it's at their fingertips and they don't have to be lost looking for that information. And so it's readily available to them. So with that said, I just commend the district and all the people who are participating in this program. They've been doing a great job, and it's exciting to see the data to actually prove that this is making a real positive step in the right direction.
When Chris shows us the data, everybody at the team just shakes their head. It's not because the data's not good, they just don't want to work on data. It's like, oh, more data. So one of the things, we've been very fortunate to make the connection with the Health Insurance Committee now and the Wellness Committee, the Working on Wellness Committee, and it's due to all the players involved. And now that we have districts like Clintonville, Kaukauna, calling us to try to emulate the methodology we're using, it's very rewarding. And it's also rewarding. Kevin from M3 is now using us as a test case at the Wisconsin School of Business Officials Conference, presenting this. This is a methodology of how not to have to go to huge different, switch your plan entirely, go to an HMO, not have a total culture shock, kind of keep the river kind of flowing without a huge upheaval, and thusly reducing our rates. So, I just want to thank you guys, and I want to say that all those emails they're going to keep coming. So, you're going to bound to open it one day or another. So, if you have any questions for Chris, or Christina, please ask.
I don't have a question, but I would like to point out that the slide you showed up there with the transportation and district office in last place, that was week one. Week 3
Correct.
Results were released this morning, and we are now in first place.
That is absolutely true. District office.
You sound kind of passionate about that.
Well, I just don't want to misrepresent the facts.
Just that.
Well, I just want to mention that I have my pacemaker, I'm working on wellness, and I'm a little bit behind. I want to get to 10,000 steps a day, so if we end the meeting quickly enough, I will get out and get another. I'm at 8,500. So.
Oh, you could have been cycling.
Thank you. I'm excited to use it.
I know you have one.
They're great.
You find yourself
But I
over
will
one.
take another one if you have another one, because I'd love to give it to my wife.
We have another one.
Will there be instructions?
Thank you.
They're inside.
Is that a hint? I might know who that is.
Yeah, it is.
I know, I couldn't
The
either.
fat end, the fat end.
glad.
I'm gonna be walking.
And all of these staff for one day.
Thank you very much.
There's a little yellow button on the bottom.
Thank you.
And a bubble wrap.
Well, Christina, and Christina, I open up everything religiously. I don't read everything, but I open it.
Well, as long as you just don't tell me, you just automatically read it.
No, no, gosh, no. I'm always afraid if I do, I'm gonna miss something.
Oh, I don't do it. I don't have that.
You do, you let yourself say, you know, walk around and say,
It motivates you.
it does motivate you.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see collection. Is the average like 10 minutes? Yeah.
Maybe 1,049 steps on mine.
Yeah?
No.
That's-
My God.
that's-
Zero that out right now.
Just the yellow button,
You
yeah.
got a date and a total, the top one is the daily, and you can zero that out by holding
I have
the
6,000.
yellow
I was
button.
feeding my sheep.
And the bottom, you can hold it in.
Like the kids when it came off.
Oh, the next
Okay.
Next day,
Moving around.
and it rained. It was raining on it.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I was
Back to
still
zero.
here. And there it was. My God.
That's what it reminds me.
I was so excited to tell you this.
So I got one married.
I'm just gonna put it on next.
I walked 200 steps and it was
I think
exactly 200.
I walk a
It
lot.
won't turn out to be walk 5 steps in a row.
So you tested it to see how many?
Hey, I got 8.
8?
I got 8.
Did you walk around?
Well, it didn't count, it apparently doesn't count a picture.
Oh, no, for the,
Yeah, that's me too.
so you have to go
That'd
forward
be a
and
really
back.
strong step.
That's terrible.
It started first.
Well, it's hard to think of our job sometimes to say, something you just do, things we do. Yeah, and then
Push the old button, spell zero and out. Yeah, push it down.
How does it know?
Somebody else is watching this. Are these, they're used.
Refurbished.
Send it down there, give you one try.
Need a
It's within a couple.
button.
What? Where are we?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're at the consent agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Before we take a vote, Dave explained this to me once before a little bit, but I'm not sure about pulling things out and abstaining if need to, or do you have to abstain for the whole thing, Dave? You have to read-
That's good, you were talking about Kevin?
Yes.
That part.
And maybe-
I'll record your vote as an approval of the consent agenda with abstaining on that one item.
Okay,
Is that
that's-
all right?
That would be fine with me, that's why I asked.
Why does he have to abstain on that? Why is that
A family member,
you can't,
You can't vote for a family
Can't vote
member to be
on,
employed. to
Well,
vote.
I think perception
I think it's
sometimes
best that
becomes
he-
reality, so I just stay away from it.
He's gonna get it anyway, so.
yeah.
Well, yeah.
it's not like they're winding up.
I know, I understand that, but still, I just would.
It's the
Okay.
safest thing to do.
It's the safest thing.
Particularly, right, yeah. Okay, so we need a roll call vote. Pat, we'll start with you.
Okay, I will abstain as noted, otherwise I would approve.
Got it, thank you. Betty Manning,
Yes.
Sandy Robinson,
Yes.
Connie Baldwin,
Yes.
Kirsten Greenfield.
Yes.
Stephen Johnson.
Yes.
Stephen Shamble.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?